Why do some people learn in hours what takes others weeks? It's not IQ, it's not talent, it's not even effort. Studies suggest the average person operates on only a fraction of their true cognitive capacity, and most never stop to question why. And what if that gap is never fixed? 4 methods, backed by neuroscience. Methods that don't just improve how you learn, they rewire how fast your brain works. You've been there, studying for hours, highlighting everything, rereading the same page again and again, and still, nothing sticks. It feels like your brain is working against you. But here's what nobody tells you. The problem was never you. It was never laziness, never a lack of discipline. The real enemy is something quieter and far more damaging. It's your strategy, a broken mental framework you were handed years ago and never updated. Your brain isn't slow, it's untrained, and those are 2 very different things. Which means everything you're about to hear is fixable. This isn't self-help, this isn't productivity folklore. What you're hearing comes from decades of neuroscience research, from labs at Stanford, MIT, and researchers like Andrew Huberman. People who've spent their careers mapping exactly how the brain encodes, stores, and retrieves information. The science has a name: neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to physically rewire itself based on how you train it. These aren't hacks, they're the exact methods used by elite learners, surgeons, athletes, memory champions. And after this, you will be using them too. Here's the shift that changes everything. Your brain doesn't learn faster when you push harder. It learns faster when it's primed, prepared to receive information the way it was designed to. This is cognitive efficiency, where speed and retention work together, not one or the other, both. And there are 4 ways to trigger it. Method 1, spaced repetition. And if you've never used this, you've been leaving raw cognitive power on the table. The concept is simple. Instead of cramming everything at once, you review information at increasing intervals: day 1, day 3, day 7, day 16. Each time your brain is about to forget, you bring it back. And every time you do, the memory gets stronger. The science behind this goes back to Ebbinghaus in the forgetting curve, a discovery most education systems still haven't caught up with. Tools like Anki automate the entire process. You don't even have to think about the timing. The hard part, realizing how much time you've already lost not using this. Now, this next method is going to feel wrong, and that's exactly why it works. Most people study in blocks, 1 subject at a time, 1 hour each, then move on. Clean, comfortable, logical. But comfort is the enemy of retention. Interleaving flips the entire model. Instead of mastering one thing before moving on, you mix subjects and problems together. Math, then history, then math again. Your brain is forced to constantly retrieve and differentiate, and that's what makes learning stick. A study from UCLA showed that interleaved practice leads to far better long-term retention than blocked learning, even though in the moment it feels harder. That feeling of struggle, that's not failure. That's your brain actually working.
Richard Feynman was one of the most brilliant physicists who ever lived, a Nobel Prize winner, a man who could explain quantum mechanics to a child without losing a single ounce of accuracy. And when people asked him his secret, his answer was almost disarmingly simple. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it yet. That insight became a method. Here's how it works. After learning anything, close the book and explain it out loud in plain language as if you're teaching it to a complete beginner. No jargon, no hiding behind complexity. The moment you get stuck, that's your knowledge gap, right there, exposed. Most people memorize. Feynman understood that real learning only begins when you can reconstruct an idea from nothing with your own words, your own logic, your own understanding. Teach it, break it, rebuild it. That's when it becomes yours. Stop for a second, because this is the part nobody says out loud. You were never bad at learning. You were never slow. You were never behind. You were just handed the cognitive equivalent of junk food and told it was a balanced diet. Cramming, passive rereading, highlighting with no retrieval, decades of strategies that felt like learning, but were really just the illusion of it. Here's the truth that changes everything. Intelligence isn't a trait you're born with, it's a skill, and like every skill, it responds to the right training. The people you think are naturally smart, they're not operating on a different brain, they just found the system earlier. That's it, that's the whole secret. And now, so have you. The fourth method isn't a technique, it's a biological truth most people are actively working against. Sleep. Not as rest, not as recovery, but as the brain's most powerful active filing system. While you sleep, specifically during deep, slow-wave and REM cycles, your brain isn't switching off, it's doing the opposite. It's replaying everything you learned, stripping away the noise, and transferring information from short-term memory into long-term storage, permanently. Neuroscientists call it memory consolidation, and you cannot hack it. You cannot shortcut it. You can only protect it. The most effective learning loop ever studied looks like this: focused study, followed by genuine rest, followed by spaced review. That cycle, repeated consistently, outperforms cramming every single time. Not by a little, by a staggering margin. Pulling an all-nighter before an exam doesn't just feel bad, it neurologically erases the very thing you stayed up to learn. Protect your sleep. It's not laziness, it's the protocol. So, let's bring it home. Spaced repetition because your brain remembers what it's forced to revisit. Interleaving because struggle is the signature of real encoding. The Feynman Technique because if you can't explain it, you don't own it yet. And sleep because consolidation isn't optional, it's biological. 4 methods, 1 central truth. Speed was never about strain, it was always about strategy. You don't need a better brain. You never did. You just needed the blueprint. And now, you have it.